All right, welcome to another episode of Juice Moose TV. Excuse me, but I have a cold. COVID. No, I have a cold, and my throat's a little scratchy. So I wanted to kind of go over the Trail Tough Trail Slayer kit. Let me just start by saying that this is the older version of the kit. This was probably purchased around 2010 to 2012. I'm not really going to get into why it's not done. It's kind of along the lines of, you know, a lot of stuff happened. So the newer kits might be a little bit different on the suspension. I'm not sure. I know for sure their body kits are different. Now the bodies, they don't cut off the back like this and put a tub cap on. They actually keep the bed and the rear bumper, which is, you know, fucking, I mean, in my opinion, absolutely awesome that they did that, because it was, you know, it looks good, and, you know, the bed has some functionality to it that you lose on the older style kit like I have. Excuse me. I'm gonna try not to be all over the place with this, but let's just kind of go through it. As far as customer service, you know, these guys are definitely a 10. While they may treat you like you're stupid sometimes, for the most part, they're good and answering questions. Now, the only questions I really had were like, you know, will the stock brakes work? Questions on wiring this 2.0, because, you know, that's not an easy to connect a, you know, 2000 plus 2001 wiring harness, you know, into a 1986, which is what this was. So let's kind of go through the kit, the suspension part. I'm going to give the suspension kit probably a solid 8. I can't give it a 10 just for a couple small reasons. One, and I'll go over that, but there are some modifications that I've done to the kit as it's gone through. One of those modifications was the panhound bar here. I gusseted it and added some extra strength to it. This is not how it originally went together, and it didn't have a hind joint. It had something else. Don't remember what it was, but it wasn't as good, you know. So, and there's a lot of shearing force on the panhard bar, and like I said, the way they had it before, I believe it was just bolted to this bracket right here, if I remember right. I don't remember exactly, but I did add the gusset for sure. I thought, you know, it should have it. And another thing that I would have done differently, knowing about it now, is the instructions, which are actually really good, by the way. The instructions call for you to set the suspension, and that's this part, this whole, you know, I don't know what they call them, where the springs go. Where the spring purchases, yeah, spring purchase. They just have you set them on top of the purchase and weld over them. And looking back, I would have done that differently now. And, you know, the reason I would have done it differently is because my pinion angle is not that great, which we'll go over in a second. And it's not great, and that's my fault, by the way. That's not the fault of the kit itself. And the shock towers are, you know, are really nice. Everything's put together well. I use their motor mounts for the 2.0 conversion. Good stuff there. Let's go around over here. So I would say this driveline angle is actually not bad. I mean, overall, I say that, you know, angle is actually not bad. Now, the kit normally, okay, here's the deal. Normally, you would use your stock engine, your 1.4, your 1.6, or a 2.0, but not a W56 transmission, Toyota, and, you know, dual transfer cases. That is not what the kit calls for. So again, if you had this in the stock configuration, or if you had used the stock transmission, or even the, I don't know, Vitra automatic, you wouldn't have some of the issues that I have. Again, excuse me. So I had to make my own skid plate, you know, which is fine. It's way longer than it's supposed to be, so therefore it kind of does mess up my angle. Now I had to cut out the center of the frame to clear the drive line. This is not the fault of the manufacturer of the kit, obviously. Trail Tough didn't have, you know, my ideas in mind when I built this, so I've done something quite a bit different. So because the driveline would have hit, you can see down there I did something different. I welded a hoop in. Now originally, again, this kit had a bolt-in piece, and you see the original bolt holes there. It was a bolted bar across. Now I had to weld that in. So not that it matters. If I have to drop the transfer cases and all that, the driveline would come out anyway, so it really doesn't affect anything that much. But still, another thing about these old things, again, definitely not, you know, Trail Tough's fault. My frame is a little bit tweaked. It's off by about a 1/4 inch, give or take. So yeah, sliders, bolt on, everything here, pretty exceptional. One day I'll change out these joints for Heim joints. I think these, you know, I don't know what these things are. They work, but not something that I would use. Secondly, since I did all this extra stuff here with the, you know, I have the bell housing off the Samurai, the rock ring, the transmission. Since I did all this stuff, I had to actually push this kit back. Okay, this is not their fault again. That's mine. So one of the changes that I did was this was just a butt weld. Okay, a butt weld, and that was it. I don't think that's enough strength. So I added a plate. I, you know, made some ugly holes. I welded the holes. I welded it across. Not pretty, but, you know, I added extra strength to this whole thing. Because like I said, this was a butt welded. Okay, that's all the kit instructions required. I also added a gusset inside. Again, I didn't think that, you know, what they did originally, the butt weld, I didn't think that was very smart. You know, maybe it works, but we're talking about, you know, a lot of articulation moving back here. Oh, my links are longer now too. The ones that came with their, you know, in the scrap pile, because again, I pushed everything back. Originally, this purchase was right about here, and I moved it all the way to the back of the frame for the, you know, I didn't want, I mean, like I said, this was already built and designed, this box. So I put this to the back so I'd have room for all the extra transfer cases and whatnot, and so I wouldn't have a midget tiny driveline. But that caused me to push the shocks out about 3 inches, give or take, out the back. Another reason why I can't give the kit a 10 is because the shocks were just, you know, the way they designed this. I'm not saying that they work or don't work, because I have no clue. I'm sure they do, but they just are ready to be hit by rocks. Even though I'm going to be running a, you know, a 40-inch crawler TA, I could just see me backing into something or falling off something, sliding off a rock, and, you know, just jamming the shit out of these shocks. And originally, these brackets would have been on the actual frame right here. So because I moved this to the back, I had to move these out. And again, They didn't gusset these things, but I did. You know, I boxed them in because there's a lot of shearing strength on the shocks. Would have liked to have boxed this side in, but, you know, or at least halfway, so I could still get to the nut, but I didn't. So I don't know. That's probably my bad. But I did box in the bottom half. This was not here before, but I made all this. Like I said, this was just, you know, welded onto the frame up here on the original kit design. As you can see, I've added rear brakes to the back. I think Trail Gear provides that kit. Yeah, they did. Okay, all right. So on the spring purchases, again, like I said, this thing is welded to the original purchase, where I should have cut them off. But again, I was following the instructions of the kit. It's not their fault. Okay, keep that in mind. But I really wish I would have just cut off the purchase and then set my own pinion angle, because, you know, the way they designed it with the stock transfer case and transmission, at least, you would have no pinion angle problem. I'm not saying mine's a problem per se, but it's not exactly super pretty. Okay, I wish I could have rotated that whole thing up, you know, 4 degrees or more, and made a more straighter drive line. I don't think it's going to be a problem. I think it's going to work fine. But you know, this is my fault, not theirs. And as you can see, once again on this side, you know, I'll move this back. I put a plate on here and reinforce the shit out of it. And there's another view of the gusset on the other side. Because again, like I said, this was originally, the frame was cut, and it was just, the instructions said just to butt weld everything. I'm not saying it wouldn't have worked, but you know, I'll just err on the side of caution and safety. So overall, like I said, you know, 10 for the service, 8 for the kit itself. It's pretty much well designed, you know, for the most part. I just went off the reservation with it, and you know, that's not their fault. That's totally my fault. The next part of the video, I'll just go over real quick. The 2.0 fits in pretty nice. The wiring, they do it. They do the wiring and label everything, strip out the garbage. Tying the two, like I said, tying in stuff was, you know, fun but doable. You know, they don't give you instructions on where to mount the computer. That's left for you to figure out on your own. You know, it's kind of obvious really how it goes. Really, the only place it fits, I guess. I mounted it crooked. I'm trying to see down here. You can see where I put a old shock spacer, so it would, you know, wouldn't be bolted on both sides. But yeah. The kit now is way expensive. I mean, I think in 2010, 12 was only a couple grand. Now it's probably close to over around $4,000 now for this kit. Again, I don't know what changes have been made to it to accommodate the new body style. I'm guessing probably none, to be honest with you. I'm guessing no changes on the kit. Would I buy it again? The answer is yes and no. If I was leaving this thing with the stock transmission and transfer case, I would definitely use the kit as is. But because I went off the reservation with the Toyota, you know, transfer cases and transmission, I'd say that the front would, you know, still a solid buy, although it comes with both pieces. But you know, looking at the back, probably not. And I don't know, that's it for you guys. You any questions, just hit me up. I'll put more videos up later.